All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Jack, Tanner, and Brandon. Today, we appreciate you guys coming on again. Tanner, I'm tweeting out your first article right now too. Appreciate you boys starting getting on the computer and starting writing too.
We're grinding, dog. I had like this grand plan of like this really cool now's the time to take the next step type article, and then Harbaugh decided to kind of leverage his NFL opportunities for a new contract. So that's been on the back burner. So a little anticlimactic with the first piece. Love Michael Barrett, but I didn't think my first article would be like a piece of news. I thought I'd maybe do a little longer form content, but glad to see Mikey back. Glad to see all the guys coming back. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the show, but really excited to get started and hit the ground running with the writing part of this gig.
Absolutely. I mean, we're blessed to have you boys. So,
I need to pick up the slack there.
What's that?
I need to pick up the slack there on the writing.
You're the professional, man, with the experience.
Look, I was doing the same thing. I texted Justin. I was like, hey, I got some inspiration to write today. And I was like really about to do it. And then Harbaugh was like, oh, hold on a second. It was a very similar trajectory as you, Tanner. But
I think we should probably hit Harbaugh up and let him know. Like, does he know? Is he aware that this is like screwing our writing up? Maybe that would make him make a decision.
It's to know, right? Harbaugh? I've been off social media as a New Year's resolution. Did something happen today?
No, just the last couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys make it sound like it was something that happened today.
No. Kind of just holding steady at this point. It seems like from the insider stuff, like maybe getting close, fingers crossed, but still got a lot to work on. I don't know where we're at with that.
Can we talk about the coordination of your outfit, Tanner? I agree.
I'm
kind of an
dog. I mean, so
kind of an awe.
Yeah, so 313 hoodie, had some Dick's Sporting Goods gift cards, had to use it, went on the shop. By the way, Dick's Sporting Goods, I don't know if they're trying to partner with us with some advertising money, but I ordered this thing on Friday. It showed up on my door yesterday morning. I don't know if they have like a warehouse in Southeast Michigan, but
I would assume so.
Incredible.
You have a store in Ann Arbor.
Yes, and they didn't really have anything. I went there with the gift card, nothing. But yeah, I got this Lions colored Tigers hat this summer. Absolutely love it. You know what I'm all about. I mean, you see this, and you're like, yeah, that's not a Lions hat, but it's a Lions hat. So thank you.
You're always very coordinated.
I do like it.
Look good, feel good, play good.
I love the Lions Tigers hat. You know what I mean? Like
nice crossover.
Yeah, I had to have it, boys.
I like it.
It's like that episode of Sweet Life where Hannah Montana came on the show.
Absolutely.
Crossover episode. You know what I'm saying? You
could also get a red on white one
Disney
for the wings.
That was quite the reference there.
We're 3 minutes in, and this has gone off the rails.
This did not take long.
All by my doing, which is just par for the course.
If you had a Hannah Montana reference on your bingo card, you've already won. So the odds at that were not high. I'll be honest. But I'll try to. I'm going to bring us back. Here. I'd say huge news in the past couple of days for Michigan. Like, I mean, essentially everyone's returning. I don't know. The only person who hasn't announced it yet, I believe, is Cornelius.
Chris Jenkins too.
Chris Jenkins. Yep. So I know for a fact Chris Jenkins is still deciding. He's been talking to some NFL agents, figuring some stuff out. So I know everyone's like, wait, he announced that he was staying a few weeks back. Well, I think some things happened. He got better feedback from the NFL than I think that he was expecting after the season. So it was like, oh, I should probably explore these opportunities. So we'll see. But, I mean, Zinter back, Keegan back, Mike Barrett back. This is like Blake Corum back. Like, Brandon, you tweeted out, we're like losing like 8% of our production. Like Olu, obviously gigantic piece to lose, but you have all those other linemen back plus the addition of the transfers. Like this offense should be ridiculous.
Yeah, they I guess I went off on that tangent. Was that last week or 5 days ago? Whenever that was, the last stream we did when I went off the tangent before we
dropped the mic
off.
Yeah,
and unintentionally. All right, but yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same story. It's just Michigan's getting so much back. But here's the thing. I mean, last year the conversation in the offseason, the conversation before week 1, and I mean, even the conversation for like the duration of the season, I would say, was that Michigan couldn't replace Hutch and Ojabo. And like, I understand that argument and the foundation of that argument, but that argument can't really be made going into this year. That's the biggest contrast. So not only are they returning more, they're also not losing the star power that they're losing in the little bit of what they're losing. I know Mike Morris was a big star for Michigan. And, you know, I get that there's some impact guys leaving. Ryan Hayes was very good and a solid guy year by year. Schoon, obviously, a solid player as well, but they're not losing anything earth-shattering. They're not losing a Heisman finalist like Hutch. They're actually getting one back in Corum, who, as we can all agree, without an injury, I think everyone in the country can agree, if he wasn't injured, he'd be a Heisman finalist himself. So, I think it's so seismic what they're returning. Like, I mean, it's the impact that's returning, and that's why I say like returning production. So they might not be returning the roster spots necessarily with some of the transfers, like Andrell, like Taylor Upshaw. You know, I understand that, but it's the impact that's coming back. You're getting Corum, JJ, Edwards. Your offensive line comes back with Zinner, who was probably, I would say, unarguably the best lineman on the team. Trevor Keegan before his injuries, because he was beat up at the end of the year. Like, I don't know if anyone knows that, but he was fighting through some stuff.
Actually, I don't think people knew this either, but Zach was too.
Okay.
So, everybody was like,
right. Everyone is at that point, but still, like, the level of play they had when they were healthy, not discrediting their level of play in the last couple of games, but when they're healthy, those guys are like undeniable top 10 linemen in the draft this year, you know? So I think those are two guys who they could end up having like 3 linemen taken in the first 3 rounds next year behind the Arizona State with Tomlinson. Is that his last name? I got to get used to it.
Darius
Henderson. Jesus Christ.
Which
That's
also I'm gonna humble brag name drop here, but I met him the other day, and he is just maybe the nicest human being ever. Like, it's really freaking incredible how like we continue to have just like good human beings come into this program. He's engaged in getting married in May. Like, I was like, oh, who are you gonna live with? He's like, oh, I'm living with my fiance here, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're like 24, so this makes sense, but still, like, I don't know, just like smiling, like so happy to be here. Legitimately was like, just came in and was like so thankful for everything. He's like, I just am so happy to be here.
I think that's the thing that's impressed me the most about the last 2 years and with the turnaround is the culture that Michigan built. I think there were some cracks early on in the Harbaugh era, a good portion of it, where you heard stories come out about guys not being fully committed, guys not being bought in. And then you turn around the last 2 years and you have this brotherhood, this culture that every football team really strives for. And I think the cool thing about the transfers is every time, I mean, that's not the first time I've heard that about a certain transfer. Like when the 2 guys from Indiana came in, the tight end and the quarterback, Tuttle and is it Barner?
AJ Barner.
Yeah. I heard, I just saw on Twitter from Indiana's Mason Brew Twitter account, or SB Nation, sorry, Indiana's SB Nation Twitter account, of just like a couple stories on those guys. I've heard nothing but great things about Ernest Hausman coming in from Nebraska, his story and his upbringing. So I think the really awesome part about all these transfers coming in is that Michigan is continuing to find guys that fit the culture, that fit being a football player at Michigan. And I don't think hopefully there's not going to be any sort of jeopardization of this culture that they've built over the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in like, I feel that that's unheard of in the year 2023 with NIL and the portal. For everywhere else in the country, it feels like it's like, how much money do I get? Like, where I'm just going for the highest bidder, right? And like for them to, obviously NIL is involved for sure, but I think that like I still think that Jim and this coaching staff is putting character and fit pretty high up there with talent on the list when they're looking at roster management. So, the one thing I will say though too, like, all right, that's the good part. The bad part is like this Harbaugh stuff. Our recruiting is at a standstill. Right. Like it is, I don't know. It's really frustrating to be honest. And so it was. I just like I said it on the last pod too. It's like we just need to. It just needs to happen. It needs. We need that announcement from Harbaugh to come right away. And I don't know. It would shock me. I guess now that like all these guys are saying that they're coming back, it would shock me if Harbaugh wasn't here. Like, don't you guys agree with that? Like, that would be the weirdest twist of all time. That like your entire team says, "Hey, I'm recommitted to this. We're gonna go win a 2023 Natty," and then Jim's like, "Deuces."
Yeah, no, I think everything we've seen like over the last couple of weeks, there was kind of like that point of panic where there was a lot of leaks coming out and the offer sheets and from the Broncos, and then he's getting 20 million and he wants out because of Ward, and Ward isn't going to do anything, and they're just going to play chicken and this, that, and the other thing. And then, Sansa puts out that tweet. Everyone kind of calms down. And when it comes to this type of stuff, radio silence is the best thing, I think, right? Like if there's radio silence in the NFL, I guess if there's radio silence regarding your coach in the NFL, that's typically good because the NFL is like the most vocal media rumor mill ever. Like last year had legs to it because of the amount of people who carried that on for weeks until Harbaugh finally took that interview. Whereas this kind of like has immediately died, and you can kind of tell he's not leaving Michigan, even though places are at the very least like vetting it. And I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't want him. Maybe he just wants the leverage. Maybe the agency is just playing the smart game. And I don't know. I just know that I think he's going to end up staying because of just the recent trends and where this thing looks to be heading.
Don't you? I mean, the Santa thing, I love it. First of all, like transmitting to the fan base is awesome. Like it's it's something that we've really never seen before, ever, from Michigan's administration. So that was like the biggest breath of fresh air ever. But also at the same time, like, all right, that's good. It's a good tweet to see. It's good to hear that there's positive things going, but like, let's make it happen. What's the holdup here? So I don't know. It's a frustrating thing, I think, from every fan that like this is continuing to go on mid-January. When like, again, we should be celebrating the shit out of one of the best teams in program history. Right. And so like, I do, what I think too, to bring it back to these guys that are coming back. Like, I actually truly believe that the sour taste in their mouth has a big piece of them coming back. This is not like just NIL money or like it was the best option for them. Like every single guy I've talked to is like very visibly upset when you talk about the TCU game. And like, I think it eats at them, and they're pretty pissed that happened. And they like are like, we have to get back and make this right, which I love.
I think it goes to what the standard is now, right? Like 2021, I remember going into the Ohio State game. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, man, it would be awesome to win. I think there's an opportunity if Hutch goes off, but like I wasn't really expecting much. And then they go and win it, and then with the Big Ten, and then we see Michigan go to the playoffs, and that's when I started to get some confidence. I'm like, all right, yeah, like Georgia got manhandled by Bama, and I was like, okay, we can hang. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. This past year, I go in, you have two new coordinators on offense and defense. You lose Hutch, you lose Ojabo, you lose Dax Hill, you lose some playmakers all over the field on all three phases, and you're like, I think this team can be really damn good. And then you go through and it's 13-0, and you go to the Ohio State game, and it was because of the core injury. I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I really want to see Michigan win this, but I didn't really know what to expect. Now I think going into this year, I'm like, no, Michigan is a clear-cut team in the Big Ten. I think that's probably been felt within the building, but it's even more so. I think it's even more entrenched in the mind of the people within the program that we are the top dog. We are the team that everyone is aiming for in the Big Ten. So I think it's all about the standard that going to the playoffs is not good enough, which is an awesome place to be as a Michigan fan, and as a program. I've lived through some really dark days. I know we all have.
It's also a crazy thought at the same time. It's awesome, but it's wild that like
I never think about 2.5 years ago, or 2 years and some change ago, where we're all like, I have no idea. Like, if Harbaugh can't get it done, who can get it done? Like, I felt like Nebraska fans probably felt during the end of Scott Frost's era. It's
sure.
like who else? Because who's going to come here? If you fire Harbaugh, who's coming? So the turnaround has been amazing. Obviously, I would love to not kill momentum on the trail and just with public image of the program every January, but I do understand to a point. I was last episode. I said I was pretty pissed off, but I do understand. I guess I can see both sides of it. Not to be middleman Tanner, but I do think it's a good place to be. There's just some things that need to be tied up right now.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to all right, let's announce. Everyone else is announced. Jim, go and announce. Let's get to it. These guys are coming back for workouts starting tomorrow, I believe. And so it's like, all right, let's get into this offseason and go.
I need a sick Harbaugh edit from Aaron Bills.
Ooh.
Give me Dude, something crazy to drop on Twitter. He hasn't tweeted in like 4 years, bro. Just give me some fire shit.
Incredible. If he did like one of those Tom Brady's still here videos, that would be unreal.
He just tweets Wolf of Wall Street, I'm not leaving. That would be incredible. It
would be the most retweeted tweet of all time, I think, honestly.
I would retweet it. That's for sure.
It would, yes. No, it would be we need something like that. We need a full video, something going on.
Him walking into the camera in slow-mo. He wouldn't be able to do that though. Bless his heart, he's a little too awkward.
I know.
Bless his heart. I say that respectfully. Jim, you're awkward. Respectfully.
Sorry.
Talking a little ballsy now. You have to go back into the media scrums anymore, Brandon.
I know.
Hey, all right. Well, let's point out one thing. All right, let's look. I know I've had a how do I say this? Well-traveled writing career, but if there's one thing I can say with confidence, it's that I never didn't do anything but split down the middle with that guy. When it came to questions and to no questions, I never was like, oh, it's an easy time to pressure him. I'm going to pressure him. I was never like, oh, let's ask him the easy one so he can give me an inspirational answer. It was just I had an assignment and I was trying to get to the bottom of that assignment via asking him. And sometimes that went great. And sometimes he looked at me like I was a lunatic and barely answered me. And that was that. But everyone can say that. Everyone. Well, I should not say everyone can say that. I should say everyone has been no shown by that guy. And everyone's gotten something good out of him outside of some select folks who I won't name. But
I can name them because I don't know them. Are you talking about Rainer Saban? Is that one of the?
Hey, bless his heart, because he's a nice guy.
He's got some story. He's got some.
But he's a nice. I'm not kidding. He's a nice guy.
I'm sure he's very nice. He's got some stories to tell, though.
Is he just troll? Is he Stephen A. or Skip Bayless, where they know? They know exactly what they're doing, and so because then I get it. If you're just doing it for clicks, but also I don't know.
I can't speak for his intentions because I didn't really have any intimate conversations with him. Just hey, how are you? That's about it. But I think in a world of journalism, especially at the Michigan beat, where it's so saturated and everyone's writing the same stories, and the access is so limited and guided. And by design, and you can take away however you want to take that away. I'm not gonna. I think Dave and Chad do an amazing job, but I'm not gonna shy away from the fact that it's tough. It's hard to get stories that are different in that sphere. It's hard. You have to work for it. And I was able to get the My Michigan Stories features this season that I thought were a really good way of kind of working with what we had to work with, right? And a lot of people just sit there complaining, I can't get any access, and they just bitch and moan, and they never write anything with any substance because they never reached out to ask how they could. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you put your best foot forward and you're hey, I understand access is going to be limited, but how can I do something better? And I'm hey, how about a positive, backstory about why they chose Michigan and what Michigan means to them? And I got to spend 5 minutes behind the scenes of every single press conference this year because of that with a player. Not every single press conference, but every Tuesday after the pressers, I got a chance to meet with a guy for 5 minutes. And, it was everyone from Mike Hart to Will Johnson. And, not a lot of people were doing that, but not a lot of people were trying to do that. So it's kind of what you make of it with the Michigan beat. You're not going to be spoon-fed anything. You're going to have to grind for it all. And I think guys like Rainer just want to differentiate from the pack. And whether you agree with how he's differentiating, I can't discredit him for doing anything besides that, right? It's definitely different than whatever the people write. And I think when you strive for originality in an extremely saturated market, like I can't be too upset with you about it. So I respect what he did, but there's
I don't really.
There's no James Yoders in person. I can tell you that. James Motor, what'd you say?
It's fine. Nothing.
I'm in my own head. I just hear myself.
I don't know. Like it's funny for me to hear people talk about the blue wall when like the things they're talking about are being reported on by the Michigan beat. Like
right.
When people are like, "Oh, the blue wall's at it again," it's like, well, no, like the Detroit News, Angelique was the one that broke, I think, the Mozzie story. Like it's just a broader story, or like a broader conversation around, just conspiracy theorists, I suppose.
Well, that came from
MGO football teams,
right? That came from MGO blog, right?
I don't remember. I thought it was the Detroit News that like initially broke that story, but I find it funny when rival fans talk about the blue wall, and it's like, no, like they're literally reporting on the story. Like I don't know if you understand what you're saying versus what's going on. We've gotten way off track here. This is
my fault.
Me too. I'll take blame.
On an unrelated note, I just opened our Blue by 90 DMs, and I want to thank Draco is his name for sending us a full frontal nude photo of himself. So really, really appreciate that.
Draco Malfoy, dude.
I'll forward it on to you guys so you guys can also.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So appreciate you, Draco. Thank you for that. Big Drake 0. All right. All right. Yeah. Let's talk some hoops.
What a segue.
Good segue. The basketball team like kind of looked good at times today against Northwestern. I don't know. There's like times where I'm like, all right, I can see this team putting some games together here, and we can like go on a run. But I mean, the Iowa game was one of the most frustrating things I've ever watched in my life, and it was like I've never seen like more inconsistency, I'd say, from a team and maybe a program, I guess, in general.
Yeah, I think watching the game today, it was a game of spurts, as basketball typically can be, a game of runs. But I think I saw the stat that in the last 9:55 of the first half, Michigan gave up 31 points. And Northwestern is not a good offensive basketball team. I think the thing that gets me really frustrated when it comes to this basketball team is just, and I'm going to be careful with how I say this, but there can be a lackadaisical approach defensively and when it comes to rebounding. There are a lot of times where I'll see Michigan make a shot and the other team will just push it up the court for a wide open dunk or layup. There's a lot of times where it feels like guys could be getting to loose balls or could be getting in front of somebody to box out. And it's just a lack of, I don't know if I want to say leadership, but it just feels like there's not really a guy on the team that says, hey, we're winning this fucking game. Like Michigan's had that in the past. That's where I think Will Cheddar is that guy right now.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
He's young, but he's the only guy. Like he got on Terrace Reed in Iowa City and was pissed at a lack of rotation on defense or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I love seeing that fire, man. Like I loved seeing that fire from Xavier Simpson. I love seeing it from Shawnee Brown. I love seeing it from Isaiah Livers. Michigan doesn't have a guy on the team right now other than Will Cheddar that's not afraid to yell at his teammates like that.
And like, I don't know, there just continues to be times where Hunter Dickinson doesn't look like he even wants to be on the court, to be honest with you. And
way too many times does that happen.
Way too many times. And like today, against Northwestern, there were times where it was like, when are we going to get the ball to Hunter? I know that they were doubling him every single time he got the ball, but like I still think 2 years ago, I remember him specifically saying he loved when teams doubled him because it left somebody else open. And it was at that time where I was like, he is an incredible passer. And like he could continue to do it. And the reality is that this team still runs through Hunter, and it will forever until Hunter's not, in Ann Arbor anymore. But like, you're right. I mean, he's not that guy. Jet's not that guy. You know, Doug McDaniel is obviously super young still and still getting it, but he's not that guy. Like, there's nobody that is in that rotation really outside of Cheddar coming off the bench that is like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we win this game, you know? And so you're like waiting for it to happen. And then it's just like nonchalant. It feels like all the time. And then the other thing that I really like, I don't understand the rotations. I really don't get them. Like Cheddar playing zero minutes in the first half and then played like incredibly significant time in the second half.
He was the first guy off the bench in the second half.
First guy off the bench and then didn't come out for 10 minutes or something. Like it was wild.
I'd love to see his plus minus. Like when he came out of the game against Iowa went on a run, and then I don't think he ever saw the court. I don't know if he saw the court in overtime. I don't know. Like, and I want everyone to understand, we're not saying Will Cheddar is like a first round pick or like, but he brings just a level of try hard that you sometimes need on a basketball team. Like you need a guy that is kind of a psychopath in a good way. And I think Cheddar really brings that. I mean, he had 4 fouls in 10 minutes. So he's got a long way to go. But I think our point is that he is a guy who's going to get on his teammates. He's going to hustle. And that stuff, as cliche and as lame as it can sound, can be really influential on a basketball court. Like you see your teammate going hard, you're like, damn, I gotta go hard now too. Like it's just a snowball effect.
1,000%. And I thought there were a lot of times, especially in that Iowa game, but even today too. And I know like it's a noon game at Chrysler against Northwestern on a Sunday. Like, you know, it's not going to be the most hype environment. And it's tougher to get up for those games than an 8 p.m. Saturday night game, right? Where everyone's like pumped up. But like there are times where everyone's just standing there watching the ball drop to the floor on a rebound or like, you know, not hustling back on it. Like after a missed shot, like you said, like it just feels like if the team pushes it at all, it's an open layup, you know? So I don't know, but I still think Michigan has the pieces if they want to or can put it together. Like I still do think there's opportunity here where the nice thing that's going on right now is the Big Ten outside of Purdue is still completely wide open. So there's a chance for them. And I think looking at their schedule, like they actually should be favored in probably 6 out of the next 7, maybe 5 out of the next 7, maybe something like that. So like there's a chance for them to go on a run here and see how it goes. But do you have the schedule pulled up, Tanner?
Yeah, they play Maryland on Thursday at Maryland, and then they're home against Minnesota. They've got Purdue. I don't know where that one's at. Michigan. It's at Chrysler. But it looks like looking at their schedule as of now, I think Wisconsin's going to drop in the rankings. They play Wisconsin twice in the last they played Wisconsin twice in 12 days in February. But outside of Purdue, they don't have any other ranked teams currently on the schedule. So we'll see. But they have a chance. The one, you know, this is the one I want to talk about. The one at Iowa City is so damn winnable. I mean, you foul a 3-point shooter up 4 with like 15 seconds left.
It's literally the only like, all right, if there's one thing you can't do, that's it.
No, you gotta give them space to land. But I think they bounce back in a solid way. I mean, look, Northwestern's not very good. Chris Collins, I can't believe has been there 10 seasons, which is kind of crazy. But just looking at the stats today and just from watching it, the backcourt was phenomenal. I thought Doug, Kobe, and Jet all played phenomenal games. All played at least 34 minutes. Kobe had 20. 3 and 4.
That was probably Kobe's best game of his career, don't you think?
He hit some big shots. Jet hit some nice shots. Doug had some big threes that kind of kept them in the game when it felt like Northwestern might be able to go on a run. So, and then you know, we're talking about Hunter. I mean, he still had 10 points, 15 boards. I think he hit a deep shot. I don't know if it was a 2 or 3, but he played decently well. But for his standards and what we know he can do, it just is. It's I don't know because it's tough to know because he is such a tall dude and like he's not the fastest guy, right? But you can kind of tell when he's kind of going through the motions. And as a junior and an upperclassman and the amount of NIL money that he does get, like I would just like to see it be more consistent from an effort perspective.
One thing I think about Juwan Howard that I continue to have this thought, and I don't want to have this thought. All right, so don't think this is a man-made thought. This is This is seeing with these two right here, all right? This is what I'm seeing here with Ray. It's got nothing to do with this. It's got everything to do with this or these two right here. I'm pointing at my eyeballs. Bad radio. But Juwan's just – I don't know, man. I think he was I think he's an NBA coach. He's trying to, like, still equip himself to coach in college from a schematic standpoint, I guess. And I think he had guys who were here when he first got here that kind of understood what it took to win in the college game. But since then, based on who he's recruited, and again, like I'm not saying this with any agenda, it's just from what I've seen, the guys he's recruited compared to the guys he inherited, there is a difference, not in talent, but just in like grit, dog, like just like the mentality of playing team basketball. And I don't know if that's a game plan type thing where he just wants to run a lot of ISO stuff and wants to run a lot of sets. That's it. Because to me, here's what I see, or at least what I saw early on in the season. I think it's changed a bit over time here, but what I saw a lot of was we're either going to run ISO and let one guy catch or shoot, or we're going to throw it to Hunter, and that's it. Those are your two options. And hey, that works well with Jet. Jet can run ISO. He's a guy that can shoot at all three levels of the court. So I'm there with that. But I saw Doug McDaniel take a step back three today that looked like he was like just got done benching and just went into the LA Fitness gym to just take a quick shot to blow off some steam. And again, I say it again, bless his heart. I don't have anything against Doug McDaniel. It's not his game though, and there's just too much ISO, and I don't know, man. I guess I'm like an old
Doug
man.
McDaniel was 4 of 7 from 3 today.
He was good from three, but the step back three was ugly, and it's just that's what I see is the ISO and I don't know. I admittedly don't know a ton about basketball.
It just seems like Michigan doesn't get a lot of shots in rhythm.
We went from Beeline to Howard and watching, and from a guy who's like a basketball watcher, as you guys could probably like. I never wrote about basketball for a reason. I like specifically asked not to because I'm that ignorant about the sport. But like I'll admit that, hand in the air. But when you watch sets from the Beeline era and you watch sets from the Juwan era, they're like night and day. And I get it, like, oh, Beeline spent 30 minutes of practice working on bounce passes. And I'm like, guess what? He went to a national championship twice, or was it twice? Yeah, twice. Right. Against Louisville and against Nova. So I mean,
I will say
with college games.
Yes, for sure. It's no doubt a different game. But like, I don't know. I am looking at this what happened today, and as frustrating as this team has been to watch throughout the season, like I'm going to choose to take away the positives from today. Like us having a scoring point guard, and Doug seems to be more and more comfortable each game in being a scorer. Like we haven't had that in a while now. I mean, Devontae Jones ended up by the end of the season being like a go-to guy. But like, I think that, that just makes such a big difference. We haven't had like a go-to guard that's scoring like 17 points on a regular basis since Derek Walton, maybe, like I think that having Doug do that. And then the thing that I loved was Kobe going 9 for 11 from the floor. It does not get much more efficient than that. And then, honestly, Jet Howard had 16 points on 4 of 11. So he had an off day shooting, still puts up 16 points. And Tanner, to your point, like I know Hunter has his standards, but like it's kind of crazy when we're saying 10 points and 15 rebounds is a bad day for Hunter Dickinson. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to choose to take away the positives from this one specifically. I am mentally blocking out Iowa City. For my own mental health here. And like, I don't know, I still will say, I think this team has potential to like make a run and be probably not like a national title contender, but like, be a top 3 team in the Big Ten or something. It's just going to be, do they choose like, when do they make that turn? They got to turn the corner at some point. And I'm looking at like, hey, play 3 games in a row consistently good. That's what I'm looking for in Michigan basketball. We have seen 1 game at a time, 1 good game, 1 bad game, 1 good game, 1 bad game. And so I do think that there's got to be somebody that steps up and says, I'm going to be the guy that I don't have to be the guy that scores every time, but I'm going to be the guy that gets everyone better. So that's Will Cheddar. To me, Juwan Howard should put him in just specifically for the energy. You need an energy guy. And like, honestly, if I was Juwan during these times, like earlier on in the season when it was obvious that Michigan was like not in the mental headspace or whatever, I think that I would have been like, hey, I'm going to play my entire bench until I find somebody that's actually going to give me 110% effort every time down the floor. And then to your point, Tanner, it would be, it's contagious, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to take the positives from this team too. And I think the thing that it clouds my judgment is that they're probably a handful of possessions away from being in first place in the Big Ten, in the conversation of being a ranked top 25 team. So like they're very close, but it's like the inconsistency and then some of like the boneheaded mistakes are what kind of has kind of tanked their season a little bit to an extent. Because if they want to make the tournament, they have to like win a lot of games. You know, they're 9-7 currently, or 10-7. Yeah. So they've got to win, you know, they probably got to win at least 18, 19, 20 games, I would think, to feel comfortable getting into the tournament, just because of the lack of a statement win in the non-con. So they certainly can do it. And I wouldn't be shocked by the end of the year if they're playing some really good basketball. The only thing is I hope it's not too late. I hope that either they won enough or they're going to have to win the Big Ten tournament. So they're running out of time. I mean, it's January 15th as we're recording. You know, we're only a couple months away from March Madness. So, you know, gotta kick it into high gear now. And I have no doubt that they can. And I've loved seeing the growth of the young guards. I mean, Kobe's been playing his ass off. I think Doug has been really, really good. I think Doug, if Michigan had some better shooters, I think Doug's numbers would be even better. Because I think there's a lot on his plate at the moment, but he's really stepped up to the plate and you know, stepped up to the challenge. So there's a lot to like. But I think this team is too good to be sitting at, you know, whatever their current record is. So,
and I think they would probably admit that, right? Like, honestly, like, I think that they all know, like, let's be honest, the talent on this team is really good. On paper, like, it's a very talented team. They just haven't been able to put it all together. So I think that's actually probably the best way to put it, Tanner. Like, this team is way better than their record, and they're too good to be a bubble team. Honestly, I think that's why, like, it's frustrating to watch when you sit there and you're like, I watched them play well when they put up 90 at Minnesota. You know, it's like, why can't we have that? Not that you need to score 90 every night, but like, you know, shoot it consistently and play hard. So I think I'm looking for that. You know, like I said, I will, like, what this team needs to do is put 3 games together. You know, start with today with Northwestern. What do we got for you said Maryland?
Yeah, Maryland, Minnesota, Purdue.
I mean, if they can go out and go 3-0 versus Northwestern, Maryland, and Minnesota, going into that Purdue game at home, like, all right, now we're talking. Yeah. Right? Like,
you guys string some wins together.
All of a sudden, and even if you don't win that Purdue game at home, because Purdue's, like, obviously a really, really good team, and Zach Edey's he's a freak show of a human being. But, like, I would love to, like, go, you know, have a good win streak going into that Purdue game, and then we're all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, and not then we're fighting for a top spot in the Big Ten for sure.
I think it's pretty miraculous out there. Like, given the dialogue surrounding Michigan basketball this year, I think you guys are right in saying that, like, for them to be in the spot's pretty encouraging, because if they're going to turn the corner, and because they haven't, I don't think they have yet necessarily. I know it kind of seemed like they were going to against Maryland. Of course, today they played better, but I think the dialogue you guys have mentioned today about just good game, bad game, good game, bad game.
Yeah,
I think it's spot on. So I think it kind of comes down to that. If they can build some consistency, like you said, Justin, just pull together a few wins in a row here, could really flip the script in their season, which is crazy because you think about it, a few weeks ago, everyone was just kind of trashing them, right?
I think the reality is, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. I mean, they just still are. So
yeah. The reality is we can't be good at football and basketball at the same time. I don't know what
it's never been. That's never happened really. Although Michigan won the Big Ten and then Michigan football won the Big Ten in the same calendar year, but
yeah, calendar year. I mean, that was
we're talking academic calendar year. I get it.
Yeah, I feel like we made that tweet up to fit the narrative so that it would, like, get a lot of, you know, I think that was more it. But
I mean, outside of men's basketball, though, women's basketball sitting at 15-3 at the top part of the Big Ten. They've got some, they've got some ranked games coming up against Maryland in a week and a half, and they play number 24 Illinois, and they also have number 3. We should go to that February 20th. Ohio State, number 3 in the country at Michigan. I don't know what day of the week that is, but we should do something because we got to show the ladies some support. We talk a lot about the men's, but the ladies have been killing it the last few years. Kim Barnes-Rico is just an awesome coach, just a fantastic college coach. So really happy to see them.
Can we talk about Caitlin Clark since they just played Iowa? She's
unreal, dude.
Is she the best all around, like men and women? I think she's the best basketball player in college basketball.
Yeah.
You know what it makes me think of is when you see remember when Brittany Griner said she could take DeMarcus Cousins on one-on-one. I think Caitlin Clark could pick out somebody from college basketball and one-on-one.
Yeah, because like DeMarcus Cousins is gonna just like obviously be bigger, and Brittany Griner's not going to like be able to physically go like back him down. But Caitlin Clark can just shoot it from the logo, so she doesn't need to do that. I have never in my life seen somebody just so like nonchalantly just like on the run essentially up the court from the logo, just chuck it up. And it's like a good shot. It's not like, I don't know, it's so wild. So if you're out there and if you haven't watched Caitlin Clark, just go on YouTube and look up her highlights. You are going to be in shock. It is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
Yeah, she's we talked about like who was the really big women's player a couple years ago? Sabrina Ionescu from Oregon. I know
Ionescu, she was a baller, dude, and she still is in the WNBA. Look, I'm not a WNBA guy, but I know she puts up buckets.
She does put up buckets.
Is Caitlin Clark more popular than her? I think the NIL era kind of aided her.
No, I think Sabrina Ionescu, I think that's how you say her name. She was so closely linked with Kobe, and I think that was part of like her ascent to kind of stardom.
Gotcha.
So,
but still, I mean, Caitlin Clark's got a chance to be that. Like, she should do like some like and one street ball. Like that should be her thing. Is she just like rolls up to courts against guys and like tries to get in a run and then just starts dropping buckets? Because I'm sure like a lot of guys would not recognize her like it just off the street. That should be her like summer YouTube channel.
It would be the Kyrie Irving, Uncle Drew.
Yeah. But she'll just be herself and just smoke dudes.
Yeah. Because that there would be some asshole dudes, not some. It would be like 90% asshole dudes that are like, no, honey, you can't you can't come into this run. And then she'd come in and just like rock them.
Because like I think what people don't understand is that yes, Division I men's basketball player versus Division I women's basketball player. Like, yeah, it's really unfortunately not a contest. But I think if you just pull Joe Schmo off the street, like, and you're not ready for that, like, she'd probably smoke some dudes at an LA Fitness, as just as alluded to earlier.
It would be so funny because like, those are the dudes that would get the most angry about it too.
Mm-hmm.
That would
just smoking their shit.
Yeah. We should try and maybe we do that with like some of our players, like Maddie. We get Maddie to go roll up and then she's just drilling threes.
Us four and her, and we're just like, I'm just dying out of breath, like looking like Kevin James and Grown Ups. Like, just can't. Because I don't know. I haven't run up and down a basketball court in a while. I do a lot of cardio, but not like sprinting and such. So, but that would be some good content, man. I would enjoy that. That'd be fun.
The last 2 days,
you're not running suicides when you're working out.
No, absolutely not. We're on the elliptical, and funny enough, you're not really like jumping or sprinting or trying to play defense. So,
I played hungover basketball the last 2 mornings after going out Friday and Saturday night, and I legitimately was like seeing multiple hoops, and it was not good. Not good.
Anybody else missed that invite to go out? Damn, bro. Just
didn't catch that one either.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Also hanging out with his friends.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, I mean, I don't know. Well, I sent him. How So the postal service these days, you know how they are.
Yeah, man. I checked my mail today, but it was Sunday, so it must become a Monday.
Well,
tomorrow's a holiday too, so
yeah, it was MLK Day, so like that's probably
scary.
why. So
damn, all right. Send a pigeon next time.
If you get it, yeah. If you send me your email, I'll get.
Oh yeah. We don't have Twitter, text, or anything. That's email.
Let's exchange information. I'll try to make sure that it.
Yeah, no, I'll hit you up on AIM and we'll get it sorted out. We'll sort the details.
Did you check my Be Real? Did you check my Be Real?
No, I'm not on there. I'm not on there. I'm holding out. Like
Be Real guy. Come on.
I did it for like a little bit and then I got a new phone and like I would have had to log back in and I just never did it again. Also, that's kind of how I live my life, to be honest. Like
me too.
If I have the like I feel like it's to the point like if I forget my like bank information, all right, I'll probably just get a new bank account.
Bro, like any resistance to logging into where I'm like, okay, did I use an exclamation point or a period on the same password I use on every other account? But this is the one that's going to make sure that it's secure. I'm against big password. I'm sick of those guys.
I was talking to one of my friends, and he has to change his work password once a month.
Oh, I got to do it every 3 months, and I can't say what I was going to say, but I hate it every time.
I think that would be enough for me to quit. Like I'll just change jobs. I think that would be easier for me to do.
Dude, it's like also like I work at home. Like I don't know who's coming in here to like look at policy information, but I don't know why I need to change it but it's like a regulation thing, but it is a pain in the ass because you have to have so many certain special characters in there and it just ends up being a bunch of gibberish by the end. It's hard to remember.
And that was like, so I got a new phone after on a bachelor party. I literally just dropped it in a lake, which tough scene. I was DJing.
Where was the bachelor party at?
It was in Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. So we're on a gigantic, like 70-foot houseboat. It was so sick. There was a hot tub on top of it. It was incredible.
All right.
But the lake that we're in is like 90 feet deep everywhere. And I was DJing and dancing up top on the boat and just like, it just went.
Do you have Apple Care?
Yeah, like that's fine and stuff. But it was Friday of a 4-day bachelor party. So that little tip, that doesn't make your wife happy when you lose your phone and can't contact her for a bachelor party.
You know what you needed? You needed what Kalen had at your bachelor party.
Hanging on my neck.
Bag on a lanyard with his phone in it.
That's a Kalen move, dog.
It was. He woke up at 4 a.m. in his bathing suit, still with it around his neck. It was incredible. Also, back to my bachelor party too, which was the funniest thing ever, is my father-in-law just forgetting his phone in his car for the entire weekend. Never texted his wife. Was just like, yeah, we'll figure it out on Monday.
Wait, so for your bachelor party, did you had parents there or what? You had
I had my dad and my father-in-law both came for like two of the nights? I think 2 nights, and then they dipped after. So they came. It was they had the times.
When was the last time they had
breaking news?
Right?
Breaking news.
Is it happening?
Cornelius Johnson's coming back.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's good.
Let's go.
That's good. I had written a note here. I had seen somewhere that he was enrolled in grad school at Michigan.
Yeah,
so I was not surprised to see that.
That's
great. That's fantastic.
That's per
Clayton, per his Instagram.
Okay.
Right.
So we have it
per
from
Blue by 90 group chat. Per Blue by 90 group chat. Per CJ. CJ on CJ.
CJ, let's go.
CJ and CJ action
there.
there.
I just edited my article. Let's get it. This guy's a machine.
Let's go.
He sleeps 2 hours a day.
I don't know what
he doesn't sleep.
Okay.
Go read our stuff because CJ is just absolutely grinding. He also writes like 90% of our articles.
I'm trying to help him out with that.
Would you guys rather have Andrel Anthony or CJ? Well, like Cornelius Johnson, CJ. Sorry, not to interrupt the parade.
Good question.
I'll add on that CJ grinds. I'll add on. Sorry, it's just in my brain.
I think that Andrell is probably more talented,
Yeah.
maybe, but I think that like having a fifth-year guy back that has played a lot of ball is probably better.
Yeah, I think there's something to leadership in a certain room, and him being the elder statesman, I think, is a good thing. I think he's gotten a lot of shit at times from the Michigan fan base because he hasn't put up a 70-catch, 1,000-yard season. But I also think he's extremely talented, and I think he's a guy that in an offense where Michigan's throwing the ball more is going to get a lot of catches and a lot of targets, and I think he can be an NFL player for sure. So I'm excited to have him back, definitely.
And
It's
also,
always good.
who has had those seasons? Like it's not like they're
David Terrell.
Braylon
I mean,
Edwards.
in Michigan, yeah, Braylon. I mean, you got to go
Right.
back, like maybe
Yeah,
Roundtree, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute.
Hemingway.
He's talking about the best receivers in Michigan history, right? So like,
Yeah, so
Well, this
you
is
know,
supposed to be the best team in history, so what the hell?
well, guess what? We have
only so
we
many
have-
touches to go around.
Yeah,
Our
Blake
Heisman
Norm had like
contender-
60
Two
of them
Heisman
a
running
game.
backs, yeah.
If he pulls out the route tree he pulled out in Columbus, he's gonna have a fruitful.
If he
final
can
year.
have Cameron Martinez on him at all times, he might go for 5,000 yards. To be honest, not to crap on the Michigan native, but
well,
yikes.
he chose to go Scarlet and Gray.
He did.
That's
Yeah,
on
he
him.
did.
That's
Going
on him.
from Muskegon to Columbus, Ohio sounds absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
Muskegon is beautifully good at Columbus, but I digress.
I will say too. Here's what I would say. I 1,000%. Even though that Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards are both gonna have probably 200 yards a game, I expect us to still throw the ball a lot more. I for sure expect us. Also, you know, JJ, when you think about it, he didn't throw with any of our receivers until fall camp. So, like, when you're talking about the timing and the rhythm of all this, like, it's not a secret. It's not crazy that he was missing on some of those throws throughout like the middle of the season. And then obviously by the end of the year, it was clicking because he actually got those in a rhythm. So I think when we're going through an entire offseason of him being able to get routes down for, with these guys, like, I think it's going to be, we could be lethal. And, I think when you have the option of Donovan and Blake, and also like, I wouldn't be shocked if Dono is like 75% slot next year too.
I would be in heaven because I think he is such a mismatch.
What linebacker or outside, wherever, like, there's no way that you can guard Dono in that slot.
I really hope they utilize hurry up as well. Keep the same personnel on defense on the field, and then you can switch Donovan from the backfield to the slot. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities that are really exciting. I just hope to take advantage of them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all right. So now we can say we can add Cornelius to that list.
So we're just waiting on Chris Jenkins.
Just waiting on Chris. Like, I mean, if you would have told me, like, obviously I had a hand in the one more year fund, which is awesome. But like, if you would have told me from the outside, and even I didn't know this, like, that we'd get possibly all of these guys back, like, that's insane. I think we were saying, like, if we got like 3 out of 5, we'd be like clutch, right? Holy shit. It's insane.
And you guys were talking about culture earlier, and it's like, if you have good culture, you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to explain it. It's apparent. You can see it. It's right in front of you. There's no questioning good culture. Guys play hard. Guys come back and play. Guys want to play together. And Michigan
young guys learn from it. Yeah.
I think this is the last year. I remember tweeting this. I don't know what it was. Oh, you know what? It was during the transfer portal when everyone was transferring to Michigan, when like everyone and their mother was like, we're going to go to Michigan for like a week. Do you guys remember that? It's like AJ Barner and
that was cool.
All those guys were coming to Michigan, right? So, and I had this thought and I tweeted it. I was like, okay, hey, as a society, I think we're going to have to get used to Michigan being good. Like, I think last year, or I shouldn't say last year. I mean, maybe last season, quote unquote. So this past season kind of like notarized and justified the success Michigan had the year prior. And then everyone coming back further proves that I think this is kind of like a here to stay type of deal. This is like at least a 5-year run. I feel like we're on year 3 of what's going to be a 5-year run. Does any of those years end with a championship? That's still left to be answered. And I think if you're going to, it's probably this year based on the recruiting classes. But again, you bring in Jaden Davis, you play the portal game a little bit, and it kind of offsets all that stuff anyway, and you're going to continue to have an opportunity. And I think Michigan's coaching staff, and you guys can correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but I think their coaching staff was like, hey, we have enough holes to fill in the portal, or we have enough holes filled in the portal to offset this 2023 class to just be a value class where we get the best guys we can get for the positions we need, because we're going to go hard in 2024 and bring in a big class. And we just brought in a big class in 2022 with guys like Will Johnson and Mason Graham and Derek Moore and Keon Sabb and all these guys that are going to be plug and play type of defenders in their second, third years on campus. So we're not going to have a whole lot of needs for the guys in the 23 class. So we can go hard in 24, build on Jaden Davis, hopefully, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they were just like, hey, win, and it's going to take care of everything to the portal, and the rest will figure itself out. So that's why I think we're at a minimum, I think we're in a 5-year run at a minimum. But there's an opportunity for greater success there because of this culture that seems to have just unbelievable continuity. You don't keep a guy like Sharon Moore on the salary that he has without good culture. You don't keep a guy like Blake Corum, who could easily go pro if he wanted to, without good culture and a little bit of NIL money, of course. But all that in mind, I mean, taking advantage of what you can legally take advantage of is like uber important, and it's something that Santa has encouraged. And it's a good spot right now. And I think it's going to keep going, man. I think the culture, like we said, speaks for itself. So, which is new.
We're about $200 away from $100K on the One More Year fund, by the way. So
great work to our unquestioned leader.
Visionaries.
Pretty dope.
Can we do I'm gonna shamelessly steal this from my guy Meta Wooten piece. We're cousins, same last name. Don't look at the pictures of us though, we don't look alike. But he tweeted about the Valiant One More Year fund and said, can we do that for Jet? So
dude, we need it.
Got some work for you.
Yeah, all right. I'll get right on that.
Hey, don't work too hard. Tomorrow's a holiday.
I will be with the basketball team tomorrow, actually, doing an MLK video shoot. So
all right, so we'll let you talk to Jet, and we'll figure
no
out
days off. No days off.
0.
I mean, you guys are grinding right in pieces.
Yeah.
Find somebody who grinds harder than we do. You can't.
You can't. It's impossible.
You
can't.
We've said it before. We do this podcast drunk, hungover, tired, excited. I mean, there's nothing that holds us back from doing this podcast. So we did it on Thanksgiving Day. I rarely toot my own horn, right? I really don't. I don't talk about myself much at all, right? I can't recall a time that I was like talking highly of myself or trying to make myself sound cool. But I mean, we really, nobody does it like us. Really, it's hard to be us. I'll say that.
I'm just glad to be here, man.
Not everyone can do it, but
hey.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. We've ranted on for long enough, I think. Now,
I've got a couple questions actually. Well, first one's not a question. Michigan wrestling undefeated, number 3 in the country. We did not go to the duel today. We could not find tickets because reasons. And then I do have a question on our most bitter rival. There's no shot CJ Stroud is actually considering coming back, right? I keep seeing these rumors, and it's like, do you guys realize that he would be $35 million richer if he goes to the draft? Like, I don't know what NIL's touching that.
Back. That'd be wild.
There's no shot, right?
There's no. I mean, be
a top 10 pick?
Top 5.
Possibly 5.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Texans sitting there, you got the Colts sitting there.
He's fallen a little bit. He might fall.
Which is crazy. How would he fall, though? Because that game against Georgia, for me, restored all my faith in his ability as a prospect.
Dude.
Yeah, but Bryce Young did the same thing. So he solidified himself
Kansas State.
As the #1 pick.
And then what, Will Levis? You got Will Levis there, too?
I know Josh Allen is the comp, but with Will Levis, everything has to go right. Like, there's no wiggle room for him. It has to all
against
go.
Will Levis, but
No, that's what people keep talking about the Lions taking a quarterback. I don't need that. Just build the defense. Maybe grab a playmaker here or there, and just
amazing.
let's
Why
roll.
would you move on from Goff? He was incredible this year. He had like one bad game.
We've seen a good.
I don't know.
Probably more than that, but
I'm just in my okay. When you put the number $35 million on it, there's no way that the Ohio State's coming up with that money in NIL.
No,
I know that they have they're ready to throw bunches of money, but they're not coming up with that. Nor that doesn't return an ROI, right?
No.
Even if you win a natty, you $35 million.
Yeah, no, whatever your small business is, or whatever the NIL deal is, there's no way you recoup that other than Ohio State made the playoffs and maybe won the national championship. That this is that's the thing with NIL, that it's people spend other people's money, and I want Michigan to be as proactive as possible. And Justin, I know you're super involved in that, but that's where it's funny, where it's I want we got to spend millions and millions of dollars, and it's it's not your money. You're not. Maybe you're pitching into the 1 more year fund, which is awesome, but the money that we're talking about is coming from a handful of key figures that they have to put this shit down, and they're not really seeing a big return on it. They're just doing it because they love their school. So that's the interesting part of NIL that doesn't get talked about a lot. But there's no shot back, right? I can't.
There's no shot, dude. Think about. Dude, if he gets hurt, it's not worth it, dude. That would be the dumbest investment.
Because if you get hurt in the NFL, guess what? The team's still sticking by you because they paid you $35 million.
Exactly.
And you can come back from it, right? I don't understand. But I've seen those rumors, and he has not declared it. He still has yet to declare, and it's January 15th, January 16th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is the last day to declare. So we'll see what happens.
It would be wild. And
that would be crazy.
I was joking. I think Josh Ogdahl put it out there. He's I thought we were all joking that we are oh, he's 0-2. I don't care if he comes back. I'm sorry to admit this. I care if he comes back. He is a very good quarterback. But
I want them to have to bring in a new first-year starter to Ann Arbor. I want that.
Yes.
I want it to be Kyle McCord. Maybe he's better. I doubt it. CJ Stroud. Yeah, I know they reload, but CJ Stroud is an animal.
If he's better than CJ Stroud, then let's be honest, we're in trouble anyway. I don't know. The only thing that would annoy the shit out of me is if they get Grayson McCall or somebody in the portal at some point.
Well, the portal's closed now, right? Or is it still open?
No, it closes next Wednesday.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Ayabioki transferring, although I think that honestly might be more of two things following Biff Poggi.
Yeah.
And also think about Derek Moore, Braden McGregor, all those weak side defensive ends coming on. So I'm not as concerned about that. I would have loved to have had him because I thought he made some great plays this year, but I'm not worrying at all about that one.
Yeah, it sucks. He was a good kid that really obviously helped us, and I thought that he would have been able to make a big leap this year.
I did too.
Okay, question though with the portal, when the portal closes, does it mean it's the last day to enter the portal, and then you're just in the portal until you decide somewhere to go? Is that how it works, or do you have to enter?
You can transfer at any time, right? There's no time that it quote unquote closes for you to commit anywhere. I think it's just you have to enter or exit at a certain time.
Gotcha.
But I don't know what that means, because I think it's a good question, because Oki transferred in when he did in the middle of.
Well, he was a grad transfer, which is the difference, I think.
Okay.
But does anybody have any rule? Is there a way to can I get an FAQ page on this shit, please?
Hey, I got to build those for work every day of my life.
I need that. I need the Wikipedia page on the transfer portal.
On the transfer portal. It's right next to targeting and process of the catch.
Perfect.
In the library.
Yeah.
It looks like it closes on January 18th, so this week. And then it opens up again from May 1st to May 15th. So I don't know, because I think you have to be in the portal to make sure it's not tampering so you can communicate with schools, right? Isn't that the whole point of it? So
yeah, except for there's no real rules.
There's no real rules. We got Lincoln Riley out here tampering his ass off, but we're concerned about some cheeseburgers. I know we talked about that last week, but it's still mind-blowing.
What did you say, Jack?
According to an ESPN article, it says instead of being able to leave a school at any time, players now have to enter the portal within set dates The first window opens the day after the championship teams are selected, which will be December 5th, and closes 45 days later on January 18th. And there is also a 15-day spring period from May 1st to 15th.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, how many days till the spring game? That's what I'm actually thinking about. Got to get into
Speaking of
mid-season
spring
form.
games, the boys going to come out and watch Coach Justice go to work this spring or what?
Ooh,
Who you
maybe.
coaching?
Hey, it's all about the players. It's all about the players. But
Who you coaching?
if you guys want to come, Wyandotte, still at Wyandotte. I've been there for this is my 4th season with them. So
Downriver.
Downriver. Ironically enough, keep this low key, but I am interviewing for a head coach spot just to add on my dish of things that I love to eat. Which
I
is
love how you said keep this low key as we're still live and recording.
Yeah, I'm not cutting that.
whatever. That's fine. I didn't say the school, so I don't really care. But yeah, and like everybody knows, like everybody within my baseball sphere knows. So
Okay,
yeah, I don't know. Coaching's just become like this is my 7th year doing it. And that's how I met Justin. So yeah, it's a good time, man. I love it. It's just something I can never sacrifice it. It's just like the sense of fulfillment that you need, especially in a time where like I was never busy with my work during the springtime because football was in the fall and the winter sports were in the winter, and then that was kind of it. You just kind of chilled out in the spring and summer. So there's something for me that I'm built to do it at this point. Like I've been doing it long enough, and
You got to coach a pioneer. We need to resurrect.
I did.
We
I did until that's something we shouldn't talk about. I did for a time. there was a moment.
Coach.
There was a moment in time where I coached there. Justin and I.
will you
Wogu was there. Legend.
Yeah, Wogu was there.
Ooh. I saw games 2 and 3 of the CWS finals against Vanderbilt in person.
So you're the bad luck guy.
I did. Well, I did see them play Texas Tech in that World Series as well in person. So, and they won that game. So,
Right.
but I actually worked for TD Ameritrade, who sponsored the ballpark, so I got some free tickets.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Now it's Charles Schwab Field. It's kind of lame. Doesn't have the same ring, but it's obviously not Rosenblatt. But it's a great venue. It's a great venue. Hopefully, Michigan can get back because that was a fantastic time.
Grayson Smith, he'll get him there.
Love it.
Love it.
Clayton Anderson, shout out.
Shout out Clayton Anderson.
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about Michigan baseball, we're gonna need to give your boy 45 minutes.
I was gonna say this might need to be another episode.
Exactly.
I think
No, we're not going another 45 minutes.
Can I add something
show
real quick?
Last of Us just came out, so
I've got I'm gonna watch that as well. I love the video.
That
games.
90 show comes out this week.
which one?
That 70 show spinoff on Netflix. That 90 show.
It's got the OG
I'll let
parents,
somebody else watch it first.
Red and Kitty.
I'll come
But
back with reviews. Don't worry,
I'll
King.
check Rotten Tomatoes. I just want to throw this in there. I was at Uptown Coney over on Jackson. We live right over there. We were grabbing some brunch.
Solid.
Lunch. I don't even know what time it was.
Solid.
And bro, they had on "Lose Yourself" by Eminem just like blaring through the speakers. And all I could think of is when we were at the tailgate and Clayton Anderson was just rocking out on the guitars to "Lose Yourself," and I'm hammered drunk in the first row.
That's amazing.
Wearing a tuxedo T-shirt, like just incredible. I need that level of serotonin at every moment of my life because it was incredible. It was an incredible day.
That was an incredible day.
that was like the vibes have never been higher. Never been
Because it
higher.
was like 60 degrees.
It was like
we got
72.
It was hot.
Perfect.
It was
Like,
hot. I got a
perfect.
sunburn.
It was Halloween weekend, Michigan State weekend,
just-
night game, just Twisted Teas absolutely flowing through my veins.
Oh my God.
Dak put on one of the best shotgun performances on stage out of nowhere
Of my life.
ever. You will never repeat
No
that.
warm-up.
Probably.
No. They're not carbonated, so that was my key.
Yeah,
What
you
was
did
it?
make Clayton look like shit though. That
I
was the
did.
only-
That was bad. That was tough. I kind of stared him down too.
What was the drink that was not carbonated?
Twisted tea.
Oh, it was Twisted Tea. Okay.
Yeah. Low key, you would not think it because obviously like pretty sugary. It's probably the easiest thing to shotgun ever. So
Do you get the
really?
light ones or like 100 calories? Like I'd rather have that than a seltzer. Like way more
I agree.
flavor, way more
Oh, yeah.
fulfilling.
I like Twisted tea.
Oh,
The light blue
awesome.
one-
It might be too sugary though to kind of like drink all day. Like I feel like I don't know.
Did you say way more
I feel like
fiber?
I'm or something.
You eat Raisin Bran? What kind of statement is that?
What did you say?
Me?
Did you say way more fiber?
Way too sugary.
No, Tanner, you said wait. You said
No,
more.
I said it was like way more fulfilling, like to drink.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you said more fiber. I was like, all right, we
I
are looking
know.
at the wrong way. Like, if I'm looking for something to drink, I'm like, you know what?
There's no-
This one's got a little bit more fiber
I'm
in
not
it. So I
that
think
old
I'm
yet. I'm not
gonna roll the
I'm not
Keystone
picking
Light.
beverages off of fiber. I don't even know if that's a thing.
That's what I was wondering.
All right, for
That was
the sake of our listeners, I'm gonna wrap this up because
Oh yeah. I forgot we even said we were done.
I forgot that we were recording at this point. Honestly,
This
But
is incredible content.
It's just
For
so
us-
natural with you guys.
you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 Podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.